Hey, hi, this is RENSEP, the research network for the study of esoteric practices. This episode is part of the series Science and the Esoteric, where we explore the relation, discourse, and intersections between these two fields of experiential knowledge. Welcome to this intellectual journey where we delve deeply into the heart of scientific beliefs and explore the world of esoteric thought. Our guide for this exploration is none other than British biologist Rupert Sheldrake, whose controversial book, The Science Delusion, forms the basis of our discussion today. At the outset, it's essential to clarify that the term the science delusion, while provocative, is not intended to dismiss science's importance, value, or achievements. In fact, Sheldrake himself is a scientist. The term delusion, as used in this context, is a call for critical reflection on the unexamined assumptions that underlie modern scientific thought. These assumptions, Sheldrake argues, have taken on the status of dogmas, ideas held to be indisputably true and not subject to question or doubt. Sheldrake identifies 10 such dogmas of modern science. These range from the belief in the mechanistic nature of the universe and the idea that all matter is unconscious to the views that the laws of nature are immutable and that mechanistic medicine is the only kind that truly works. These assumptions, he argues, limit our ability to fully understand the nature of reality because they preclude certain lines of inquiry and exclude phenomena that don't fit within these parameters. It's important to recognize the context within which Sheldrake's critique arises. His perspective is rooted in a broader historical debate about the nature of science, its methods, and its assumptions. Since at least the time of Thomas Kuhn's The Structure of Scientific Revolutions, scholars have noted that science is not a purely objective enterprise, but is shaped by the paradigms or overarching conceptual frameworks within which scientists work. Sheldrake's critique can be seen as part of this ongoing discussion about the nature and limitations of the scientific method. Our task here is not to conclusively affirm or reject Sheldrake's critique. Rather, it's to engage thoughtfully with the issues he raises, examining each of the 10 dogmas he identifies and reflecting on its implications for scientific inquiry. This examination will also involve a comparative study, contrasting each dogma with alternative perspectives drawn from the realm of esoteric practices. Esotericism is a complex and multifaceted field, encompassing a wide range of beliefs and practices, many of which contrast sharply with mainstream scientific thought. By comparing these esoteric perspectives with the scientific dogmas that Sheldrake identifies, we can better understand the contours of this debate and reflect on the possibilities for a more inclusive, expansive understanding of reality. As we navigate through this rich and complex territory, I encourage you to approach the material with an open mind, a spirit of inquiry, and a willingness to question familiar assumptions. Our aim here is not to arrive at a final or definite answer, but to stimulate thought, deepen understanding, and perhaps even provoke a sense of wonder and curiosity about the extraordinary universe in which we live. Let us now delve into this exciting journey of exploration and discovery. As we proceed, let's begin to unpack each dogmas Sheldrake identified, discussing their implications in depth and contrasting them with esoteric perspectives. The first one is nature is mechanical. This fundamental assumption of modern science dates back to the Enlightenment and the birth of modern physics, where the universe was depicted as a vast, predictable clockwork mechanism. Everything in nature, including living beings, is seen as being like a machine, operating according to fixed laws. The ramifications of this perspective are profound, for if the universe is a machine, then it can be studied, understood, and even manipulated, much like any other mechanical object. However, many esoteric traditions fundamentally challenge this perspective. Instead of a mechanical universe, they propose a living, organic one imbued with consciousness, purpose, and even spirit. They conceive of a world as a living organism or even a web of interconnected life. In this view, all beings in the universe are interconnected physically and on deeper, more subtle levels. The second one is that all matter is unconscious. In the scientific worldview, consciousness is seen as the product of brain activity, arising from complex computation among neurons. Whether inanimate objects or the basic constituents of the universe, matter lacks this computational complexity and therefore does not possess consciousness. Yet, many esoteric traditions propose that consciousness permeates all aspects of the universe. This perspective, often termed panpsychism, posits that consciousness is not an exclusive property of brains, but is a fundamental aspect of reality. In this view, the universe itself might be seen as a kind of mind, and every particle of matter as being imbued with some level of consciousness. The third dogma is that the laws of nature are fixed. The belief that the laws of nature are fixed and immutable is a cornerstone of scientific thought. These laws are considered universal, held in all times and places. They provide the basis for the predictability and consistency that allow us to study the natural world scientifically. In contrast, some historic traditions propose that the laws of nature are not as fixed or as immutable as we might think. They suggest that there may be different layers or dimensions of reality, each with its own natural laws. Moreover, they propose that consciousness itself can influence these laws, suggesting a more malleable and interactive universe than the one conceived by classical science. The fourth is the total amount of matter and energy is always the same. This dogma of science, which Sheldrake criticizes, arises from the laws of conservation of energy and mass, which state that energy and matter cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. This principle underpins much of chemistry and physics. Esoteric traditions often have a more dynamic view of energy, considering it as something that can be accumulated, transmuted, and directed in ways not recognized by mainstream science. Concepts such as prana in Hindu philosophy or ki in Chinese thought refer to a vital energy that permeates all living things and can be manipulated through practices like yoga and qigong. The fifth is that nature is purposeless. The dominant scientific view sees no overarching purpose in nature. Evolution, it is argued by Sheldrake, is driven by random genetic mutations and natural selection, without any inherent direction or goal. Many esoteric systems, on the other hand, propose a universe that is deeply purposeful. They posit that human life and evolution are part of a larger cosmic process, a journey towards spiritual development, enlightenment, or union with the divine. The sixth dogma is that all biological inheritance is material. Sheldrake points out that science holds that all traits are inherited through genes, which are transmitted from parents to offspring. But Sheldrake challenges this dogma, with his theory of morphic resonance, proposing that organisms and species also inherit collective memory through a non material field. Esoteric traditions, while not necessarily engaging in biological discourse, have always emphasized the significance of non physical forms of inheritance. Consider the notion of karma in Eastern philosophies, which is thought to pass down through generations, influencing the trajectory of individual lives and even societies. The seventh dogma is that minds are inside heads. Modern neuroscience posits that the mind is what the brain does, and thus is located inside the head. Sheldrake, however, argues that minds are more like fields that extend beyond the physical body. This view aligns with many esoteric traditions, which propose concepts such as the aura or the energy body, extending and interacting with the world beyond the physical limits of the body. Some also believe in the capacity of the mind to interact with the world directly, as seen in concepts like telepathy or remote viewing. The eighth dogma is that memories are stored as material traces. Scientific consensus currently holds that memories are stored in the brain as material changes in synaptic connections. Yet, Sheldrake posits that memories are instead stored in the morphic field of the individual. Esoteric traditions have varied views on memory. Some propose the existence of an Akashic records, a cosmic memory field where all experiences are stored and can be accessed under specific circumstances, and it was first postulated by Theosophy. Reincarnation beliefs also suggest that memories can persist beyond physical death, hinting at a non-material aspect of memory storage. The ninth dogma is telepathy and other psychic phenomena are illusory. Mainstream science generally dismisses psychic phenomena like telepathy, precognition, or remote viewing as illusions or frauds, often due to lack of replicable evidence under controlled conditions. Sheldrake, on the other hand, asserts the reality of such phenomena, suggesting they are examples of minds interacting through morphic fields. Esoteric traditions often embrace the reality of psychic phenomena. Telepathy, remote viewing, and precognition are seen not as anomalies, but as natural capacities that can be developed with practice. The 10th and final dogma is that mechanistic medicine is the only kind that works. Modern medicine operates primarily under a mechanistic model, where the body is seen as a machine and diseases are due to physical causes like pathogens, genetic factors, or biochemical imbalances. Other forms of healing that don't fit this model, like energy healing or spiritual healing, are often dismissed as placebo or quackery. Many esoteric traditions, however, embrace a broader view of health and healing, encompassing the physical body and energetic, emotional, mental, and spiritual dimensions. Practices like Reiki, acupuncture, or prayer healing are seen as working with these subtler dimensions to bring about health and balance. In exploring these dogmas, we see a tension between a materialistic, mechanistic view of the world and a more holistic, consciousness centered perspective. Our task is not to definitely decide which is correct, but to open our minds to these alternative viewpoints and consider their implications. After all, progress in knowledge often comes from challenging accepted assumptions and opening up to new possibilities, insofar as they stand up to rigorous scrutiny. We at RENSEP are all for how science and esoteric practices can work together. So make sure to stick around to learn more about our journey through history and traditions in our dedicated series. And what are your thoughts on Sheldrake's Dogmas of Science and their relation to esoteric practices? Let's start a discussion in the forum. RENSEP over and out. Until next time, stay esoteric.